flying in 2025, then you better watch this video all the way through because the rules of air travel have completely changed. And breaking even one of these 12 new policies could get you booted off the flight before your seatbelt even clicks. See, gone are the days when boarding pass, passport, and patience were all you needed. In today's hyper-regulated, ultra-sensitive travel landscape, it's shockingly easy to get flagged for behavior you didn't even know was wrong. We're talking things like how you talk to the crew, the clothes you wear, even what you pack in your carry-on. And no, this isn't exaggeration. It's happening every day. Passengers being denied boarding, escorted off planes, and even blacklisted by airlines, just for not keeping up with the new rules. One traveler was kicked off for refusing to put away a laptop during taxi. Another, for wearing a slogan t-shirt that someone found offensive. And here's the kicker: airlines don't have to explain themselves. If the crew thinks you're a problem, you're out. No refund. No apology. Why is this happening? 2 reasons. First, safety. Airlines have tightened their grip on anything that even resembles a disruption because one incident in the air can go viral in seconds. Second, liability. Carriers don't want lawsuits, delays, or public meltdowns. So instead, they use what the industry calls zero-tolerance discretion. But here's the scary part: most passengers have no idea what's changed. That's why in this video, we're revealing the 12 new travel rules you need to follow or risk being pulled off your next flight in front of a plane full of people. Buckle up, because rule number 1 is something most passengers break before they even reach the gate. Let's dive in. You might think a simple disagreement with a flight attendant is harmless. Maybe you asked twice for water. Maybe you questioned a seat change. Maybe you just looked annoyed when they told you to stash your backpack under the seat. Well, in 2025, that's all it takes. That's rule number 1. Do not challenge, contradict, or even look like you're resisting cabin crew instructions. Why? Because in today's post-pandemic, post-incident airline world, crew authority is absolute. If you make their job harder for even a second, you're seen as a potential safety threat. Sounds extreme. It's not. Airlines are training crew to spot behavioral red flags, and even slight non-compliance is on the list. Let's say you refuse to switch seats after boarding, even politely. That's logged. Raise your voice during a gate delay. Logged. Decline to wear your mask if asked during a medical situation. Immediate escalation. And you might think, well, I have rights. But here's the thing. Once you step into that aircraft, your rights bend to FAA regulation and airline policy. The scariest part, it's all subjective. There's no jury, no appeal. If one crew member says you made them feel unsafe, the captain has the legal right to remove you before takeoff, and it won't even count as a denied boarding. It's classified as removal for safety concerns, which means you lose your seat, your refund, and your rebooking rights. It gets worse. These removals are often quietly noted in airline systems. So if you were flagged once for being non-compliant, your name might be marked the next time you fly. Some carriers share this data, meaning you could start seeing strange issues with your tickets, delays at check-in, baggage misplacements, even automatic secondary screenings. No one tells you why, it just starts happening. So what do you do instead? Simple. Comply quickly, politely, and clearly. Even if you disagree, even if you know the crew is mistaken. You nod, smile, cooperate, and if necessary, file a complaint after the flight lands. On board, that's their turf and you're a guest. And that brings us to rule number 2, one that starts before you even leave your house. Most passengers break it without realizing, and it's the reason thousands are removed before boarding even begins. Ready? Let's get into it. You think you're dressed fine. Hoodie, joggers, maybe a crop top or ripped jeans. It's just a flight, not a fashion show, right? Well, not in 2025. Rule number 2 is a silent killer. Dress code violations are now one of the top reasons passengers are quietly denied boarding or removed from planes before takeoff. Airlines have started enforcing appearance and appropriateness policies buried deep in their terms of service. And they're not just targeting graphic t-shirts with offensive slogans. Too revealing, denied. Too dirty, denied. Too political, you guessed it, denied. One woman this year went viral after being asked to cover up because her top was deemed too distracting to crew. Another man was removed before takeoff for a shirt that made a sarcastic joke about turbulence. But here's the kicker, it's completely subjective. One gate agent's idea of offensive might be totally fine to someone else. And airlines are backing their staff without question because once someone claims disruption risk, the passenger is out. No discussion, no refunds, no flight. It doesn't end there. Some airlines are also flagging people who look too intoxicated or too disheveled, even if they haven't broken any laws. In one case, a frequent flyer was removed just for having a strong cologne that triggered another passenger's allergies. And guess what? The airline stood by the removal, citing comfort disruption. So what's the solution? Dress like you're entering a high-security zone where first impressions matter. Think clean, neutral, covered. Avoid slogans, avoid extremes. Save the statement fashion for after landing. In 2025, looking too expressive can be seen as a liability, not personality. And just when you think you've done everything right, there's rule number 3, the one that doesn't involve what you bring or how you behave, but how you book your flight. This next one is catching savvy travelers completely off guard. Let's talk about it. You booked your flight weeks in advance. You paid extra for a window seat. You even selected no meal just to make boarding faster. But when your name pops up at the gate screen, and a uniformed agent pulls you aside, you realize something's off. Welcome to rule number 3. Seat assignments can now quietly trigger behavioral screenings. Sounds absurd, it's happening right now. In 2025, certain airlines have quietly adopted risk profiling based on seating behavior. Passengers who switch seats without notifying staff, repeatedly request front row exits, or book window seats on short-haul flights while traveling alone are sometimes flagged as non-compliant behavior profiles. Sounds like spy thriller nonsense. Nope, it's a real protocol based on predictive modeling from past incidents. Here's the dark twist. Some airlines share passenger data with third-party threat analysis firms. That means your past upgrades, complaints, and even seat change habits can be used to decide if you're a potential disruption risk. And no, you don't get to know what data triggered the flag. You'll just be told, you've been randomly selected for additional screening. In one reported case, a solo female traveler was removed from a flight after asking to switch seats twice. The reason? Her behavior was disruptive to flight operations. No warning. No refund. Just a quiet removal and a rebooking fee. Want to avoid this nightmare? Never switch seats mid-boarding without asking a flight attendant. Don't game the system by booking middle then moving to an empty aisle. And if you're flying solo, stick to the seat you booked. The less unpredictable you look, the better. But let's take it up a notch. Rule number 4 isn't just about what you do or where you sit. It's about something you didn't even realize was a rule, something that could get your entire trip shut down before it begins. And it starts with a single wrong sentence. Buckle up. You're at the gate, boarding pass in hand. Maybe you're joking around with your friend. Hope the plane doesn't crash, right? Or worse, you say the B word. You know the one. Boom. And just like that, you're no longer a passenger, you're a security risk. Welcome to 2025, where words aren't just words anymore. In fact, certain phrases are now part of AI-powered audio flagging systems deployed in multiple international terminals. These systems scan conversations in waiting areas and flag keywords like bomb, crash, hijack, or even sarcastic remarks that could be interpreted as threats. You think you're being funny? TSA doesn't. Airline staff definitely don't. And most of all, the algorithm doesn't either. There's a documented case from earlier this year. A 22-year-old traveler in New York joked over FaceTime about smuggling snacks past security. The system flagged the call. Minutes later, he was surrounded by federal officers. The flight left without him. And don't think it's just physical speech. Your social media is fair game too. Airport security agencies increasingly collaborate with third-party data services that scan posts in real time. If you tweeted about blowing up after this flight delay, even jokingly, you might be greeted by law enforcement at the gate. Scary, yes. Exaggerated, sadly, no. This is the new age of travel, and in 2025, the digital version of you boards the plane before your body ever does. So what can you do? Never make jokes about security, weapons, or accidents even in private conversations. Keep your phone locked and your social media clean when traveling. And if you see someone else crossing the line, don't engage, just move away. Your silence might save your seat. Because in 2025, the most dangerous thing you carry on board could be your own words.